Farming is a difficult labor, especially when you have to lead the household on your own. Fortunately, now we have ways to considerably facilitate and speed up this process. In this episode, you'll see the most insane farm technologies and inventions. Robotic farmer. Weed control is a fairly common thing that cannot be overlooked if you're a farmer. It takes a lot of time and effort and also requires attention. It's important to buy the right chemicals, which, in addition to everything else, contaminate the environment. Well, or do everything with your own hands, only in this case you'll spend even more time. However, inventors have come up with an innovative tool that will both save time and will not damage the environment. We're talking about a special robotic farmer on 4 wheels. This miracle weighs about 4 tons. It has built-in GPS and computer vision. This allows it to easily move through crops and search for weeds. The robot is based on an onboard supercomputer and high-resolution cameras, which allow it to detect unwanted plants. As soon as the enemy is found, 8 powerful lasers, each of which has a power of 150 watts, will take over. They're more than enough to destroy all the weeds. The speed of such a robot is unthinkable – 100,000 plants per hour. The only disadvantage is that the machine does not work on electricity but requires diesel, but a full tank is enough for 24-hour weeding of fields up to 8 hectares daily. Unlike chemicals, lasers leave the surrounding soil untouched, preserving its microbiome. Thus, the all-important and useful plants will continue to grow, but it's not the case with the weeds. But if you now think that removing weeds with surgical precision is impossible, just take a look at what another robot does with raspberries. You're looking at a first-class picker of a delicious and delicate berry that requires special care. In this case, the machine detects a ripe berry with an adapted camera system, and then, with the help of 2 robotic arms, the machine carefully plucks the fruit and places it in a container. So far, the speed of such a picker leaves much to be desired, although the quality of the raspberries, most importantly, has remained at its best. Imagine how useful this tool would be if the developers figure out how to speed it up. Would you like robots to pick all the fruit grown in your vegetable garden too? Write in the comments. Floating farm. Imagine the situation. You're walking down the street along your town's main body of water, and you see a real farm floating along. What would you say? That's right, I'd be surprised too, to say the least. But the people of the Netherlands have been treating it quite normally for several years now and consider such an innovation to be right in every sense. Once a family of farmers analyzed the state of their country and noticed that 1/3 of the territory was as if underwater. The lowest point is 23 feet below sea level. At the same time, the country is one of Europe's largest per capita emitters of greenhouse gases. Not surprisingly, sea level rise or climate change is a normal thing in these parts. That's why it occurred to the family to move their household to the water. This way they wouldn't occupy such valuable Dutch land and would also keep their livestock safe from the flood. In addition, the floating farm will inform city dwellers about how their favorite products are made. But don't worry, the cows are better off in this environment. The farm moves with the tide. It goes down and up about 6 feet. At the same time, the people on board carefully monitor the food, their favorite animals to eat. They're fed a mixture of different ingredients, including grape pumice meal and grass from local manicured fields. This diet reduces waste and emissions, as the manure ends up being used to make pelletized fertilizer, and the recycled liquid becomes drinking water for the animals. In addition, the farm is equipped with dozens of solar panels that produce enough electricity to keep the enterprise running. After hearing about a waterfowl dairy farm, one might think that everything that happens on it is quite normal and explainable, rather than something innovative and crazy. Well, if you do think so, then what do you say about this kind of farm spy? It's a robot created by a French startup. It doesn't have traditional rubber tracks or wheels with tires like most agrarian bots. Instead, it moves on rimless wheels with open spokes. These are needed to traverse uneven terrain and minimize crop damage when driving over it. In addition, the robot can change the span of these wheels or make it larger or smaller. The thing works as follows. First, the user enters the coordinates of the extreme points of his field in the onboard computer to set the boundaries of the working area. The device starts the process of monitoring the territory and consistently rolls across the entire field. The robot is equipped with 2 cameras. One's located at the top and captures the top side of the leaves or fruit, and the second is located almost at the ground and captures the underside of the leaves from bottom to top. Thus, literally the entire crop is digitized, and even the slightest traces of pests are not overlooked. Artificial intelligence and a variety of sophisticated algorithms process the data received during the inspection of the territory and inform the user about problems, where to add water, how many weeds there are, what's the state of the soil, at what stage of development there are plants, and so on. At the same time, the nimble assistant weighs only 33 pounds and, according to the manufacturers, can cover up to 20 hectares of land per day. Amaran. This is the name of our next robot we're going to talk about, and its main feature it became famous for was the ability to collect coconuts practically without human assistance. In order for the device to start working, it must be collected directly from the palm tree from which you need to collect the fruit. This process is not a long one. It usually takes no more than 15 minutes. Then the operator, using a special joystick or an application in the phone, directs the robot upwards. In its turn, it successfully clings to the tree and does not fly off thanks to rubber wheels. As soon as the robot reaches the coconuts, its special claw extends and locks at the base of the fruit. Then a circular saw comes into action, which cuts the branches and the coconuts fall to the ground. Tests conducted almost immediately after the robot's release proved successful. He easily climbed a tree 50 feet high with an inclination of 30 degrees. The creators of the device note that although the process itself is much slower than if a human were to do it, the machine can work longer, which equalizes the bottom line. Someone proves the existence of giants by the presence of strange, huge footprints, giant tools, or buildings with heavy blocks that people cannot lift. Others, however, seem to find simply abnormal berries or vegetables that I would also attribute to the food of giants. For example, an amateur farmer in the United States showed the world a giant carrot that weighs more than 22 pounds. The man didn't measure the length. However, he suggests that it's about 24 inches. And if you now thought that this is all, I hasten to rejoice you. Of course not. Next, we have a huge pumpkin weighing over a ton. The American who grew it named it after the basketball player Michael Jordan. I wonder what they did with it. Was it left to rot, made into the most epic Halloween decoration, or tasted? To be honest, I wouldn't want to taste a giant pumpkin. But to test out the kind of watermelon being transported by the people in this spot, I would agree with pleasure. Unfortunately, I can't tell you who exactly and where it was grown. The author of the photo preferred to remain anonymous. But do you think such a huge fruit is even real? Or is this berry too cool and big to be real? Write in the comments. Well, now I propose to return to our crazy technology and look at a super cool robot that can control a vegetable garden with pinpoint precision. A 3-person team from California worked on the creation of this small system. The system can be installed on the roof in the yard. Yes, in general, anywhere, because it will, in any case, take on literally all the duties. Once assembled, the device will start planting seeds, will individually water each plant, analyzing its type, stage, and development and weather conditions, as well as monitor and remove weeds. Yes, definitely the design is to progress only a small area of a vegetable garden, but still. As far as I'm concerned, it seems to send shivers down the spine. It's how clearly and smoothly the robot does everything. The main thing is not to think that the robot will march to its own drummer from the very beginning up to the end, and a person will not have to do anything at all. It's not so. In the case of this robot, you can always give instructions and set the necessary modes of operation depending on the weather conditions and workload of the owners through a mobile application. In addition, the memory of the device contains the names of more than 33 crops and automatic programs for their cultivation. Thanks to this, the robot will always place potatoes where they're best and take care of them in the most careful traditions. Putting potatoes where they're at best is certainly cool, but people in the following story went even further and put cows in the best habitat possible without transporting them. How did they do that? Well, it's very simple. With the help of ordinary VR glasses. A Turkish farmer had the idea to make the cows feel like it was summer and the birds were singing in the winter. He ordered trial glasses and wanted to see if it would make a difference in the amount of milk the cow had. And you know, the plan worked. According to the farmer, it actually resulted in less stress in the animals and a 22% increase in milk yield. In case you didn't know, bulls and cows are bad at distinguishing colors and are nearsighted. How exactly a cow sees a particular color is unknown to scientists. However, it's believed that cows are able to see colors such as red and white. As for blue and green, they're seen much worse. With the help of VR glasses, cows can really feel themselves in the summer pasture because they also have a poorly developed sense of smell. It goes without saying that in this case, you'll have to work hard to calibrate the image, but the result will definitely be worth it. It even got to the point that theories started to appear on the internet that VR glasses not only increase the amount of milk, but also improve the quality of the product. Do you believe it? Since farmers are creating virtual reality goggles for cows, maybe it's time to learn how to flash their brains and make robot cows. Why not? Sounds crazy, but that's probably where it'll come to after a while, especially since the trend has already started. Humans invented a robotic bee. Equipped with a special material that acts like soft muscles, the robot suffers almost no significant damage when it collides with walls or accidentally falls. It can also easily plan, land on leaves, pollinate, and even swim. And it's also hard to distinguish from a real bee, at least for other insects. They think that the robot also has membrane wings that can make up to 170 bee strokes per second. Such a cool drone as a robotic bee can do a lot of useful things, not only for the farm, but also for the city or its district as a whole. But here is something that it cannot do due to its size, such as picking large fruits. Although it's not necessary because it's already engaged in this device of the company from Chile, their assistants scurry among the branches and select only ripe fruit without signs of damage. Apple picking is carried out without the participation of people at all stages. This is what I call the real future of farming. The platform's work on a fairly large farm has shown these systems highest selectivity. It greatly reduces harvesting costs by allowing only the best quality fruit to be picked at each pass. An ordinary person, or even a farmer of average experience, would not be able to do this. At the same time, 6 drones, which have a special soft grip, are picking at the same time. They put fruit into a container, and when it's filled, it's replaced with a new one. As the developers noted, the robotic technology allows to pick more than 90% of all fruits from trees with thick or thin trunks. Moreover, this principle allows farmers to grow taller trees because the issue of fruit harvesting does not play the main role here. Drones can easily reach the very top. Insects will not pass. Perhaps the next system we're going to talk about should have just such a slogan. Engineers from the Netherlands have built the PATS system, including 2 components, PATS-C and PATS-X. The first is a set of integrated, connected infrared cameras that are installed throughout the greenhouse. The image they transmit are processed by an algorithm based on artificial intelligence. It identifies potential intruders and reports them to the main department. At the same time, AI determines what kind of insect has entered the greenhouse. Based on its size, frequency of wing beats, and speed of movement, the device determines the species and classifies it as safe or undesirable. In the first case, nothing will follow. But when it comes to a second situation, that's where PATS-X comes in. PATS-X is 1 or more miniature drones that immediately fly to the location of the enemy and shoot it down right in the air. It turns out that when flying, the drone's engines emit ultrasound in the same range as bats. Because of this, some pest moths try to dodge the PATS-X, but most still fail. Once the target's shot down, the drone returns to the base and waits for a new command. That's about it. Write in the comments which farm technology did surprise you the most of all. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel.